Imagine this. You order your groceries online, right? And later that day, a robot delivers them to your door. I
Wow.
mean, that's the kind of future Amazon is building, and it's happening now, not science fiction.
Yeah, it really is amazing how quickly things are changing in this space.
So today we're going to take a deep dive into Amazon's tech innovations, especially their robotics and AI, and what it all might mean, particularly for Europe.
That's a great topic and one with some really significant implications. I think we should definitely explore that.
You sent me some really fascinating articles and a YouTube video that gives us a look inside Amazon's Nashville distribution center. Have you seen this video?
Yeah, I have. It's pretty incredible.
The thing that struck me right away was just the sheer scale of the operation.
Absolutely, it's mind-boggling.
Thousands of employees, millions of packages moving around on these conveyor belts and robot carts.
Like a perfectly choreographed dance, but with packages instead of dancers.
Exactly. And the robots are definitely the stars of the show.
For sure, and they're all different.
Yeah, like the Pegasus robots. The YouTuber calls them sparrows. They're these small, really fast robots that sort and move packages.
I was really impressed by how seamlessly they integrated those smaller robots into the workflow.
And then there are the Proteus robots. Those are the bigger ones that move pallets around. The YouTuber even gets in front of one and it stops automatically.
Yeah, highlighting those safety features is really important.
But because it's not just about the robots themselves, it's about how Amazon is using AI to orchestrate this whole operation.
Exactly. The AI is really the brains behind it all, optimizing everything.
And then there's Rufus, which is Amazon's AI shopping assistant.
It's like a personal shopper that knows everything about your buying habits. Maybe even knows you better than you know yourself.
And it's not just about suggesting products you might like. Amazon is talking about using AI for something they call Shopping Assist, where it creates ads and even videos for sellers.
It's almost like the AI is becoming a marketing guru.
Yeah, pretty wild. But let's shift gears a bit and look at those articles you sent me, particularly the ones about the impact of automation on jobs in Europe. Things get a bit more complicated here, right?
Yeah, definitely more nuanced. We need to look at both sides of the coin.
Because on the one hand, there's the concern about job displacement. One article even suggested that up to 12 million jobs in Europe could be lost by 2040.
That's a significant number, and it underscores the potential disruption automation could bring.
And it seems like those low-skilled and routine jobs in retail, transportation, hospitality, they're the ones that are most at risk.
Yeah, those are the ones that are most easily automated.
But the articles also talk about how automation could create new jobs, as many as 9 million potentially, but mostly in emerging sectors.
It's important to remember that while some jobs will disappear, others will be created. It's not just a zero-sum game.
Right, so it's not just about jobs vanishing, it's about them transforming too. The articles emphasize that we need new skills to thrive in this kind of automated world. Things like problem-solving, adaptability, critical thinking.
Absolutely, lifelong learning and constantly upskilling is going to be crucial in the years ahead.
And some argue that automation could actually make some jobs better. Less physically demanding, safer, more appealing overall.
Yeah, because robots could handle those dangerous, repetitive tasks. And that could free up humans to focus on more interesting and fulfilling work.
It's interesting, though, because Amazon is at the forefront of this whole automation push.
Yeah.
But they claim robots are mostly there to assist workers, not replace them.
It's a crucial distinction, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out in reality. I think we need to look at those claims critically and consider both the potential for collaboration and displacement as this technology continues to evolve.
One article dives into the technical challenges of incorporating humanoid robots into warehouses, like the Digit robot Amazon is testing. It seems like it's not as easy as just plugging them in and letting them run wild.
Yeah, it's a lot more complex than that. Integrating these robots effectively requires overcoming some serious hurdles.
Like what kind of hurdles are we talking about?
Well, for starters, warehouses might need some major renovations. Think about adjusting aisle widths, shelf heights, even ensuring that the floors are smooth enough for the robots to move around easily.
So we're talking about physically redesigning these spaces to accommodate robots.
Precisely. And then there's the challenge of integrating these robots with existing warehouse management systems. That requires developing compatible software interfaces, ensuring seamless data flow and robust connectivity. We might even be talking about dedicated 5G networks within the warehouse.
Wow. So it's not just about the robots themselves. It's about creating this whole ecosystem that supports them.
Exactly. And then there's the challenge of optimizing workflows to ensure seamless human-robot collaboration, something that current systems aren't necessarily designed for.
So it's not just about robots working alongside humans, it's about them working together effectively as a team.
Exactly. And that requires new software layers algorithms to optimize routes and batching AI to manage decision making in real time. It's quite a complex undertaking.
It sounds like we're talking about building an entirely new kind of warehouse, both physically and digitally.
Essentially, yes. And then, of course, there's the ongoing challenge of robot maintenance and reliability. You need systems to predict potential breakdowns, tools for rapid diagnosis, trained personnel to handle repairs.
Because a malfunctioning robot can bring the whole operation to a standstill, right?
Exactly. Downtime can be incredibly costly in a fast-paced environment like a warehouse. So robust maintenance is absolutely essential.
And to top it all off, these robots need to be adaptable. They need to be able to handle different types of tasks and adjust to changing environments.
Adaptability is key. They need to be easily reprogrammed to handle new products, learn from their experiences, and improve their performance over time. It's a tall order.
It really is. So this Nashville facility gives us a glimpse of Amazon's vision, but it also raises some really big questions. What does all this mean for the future of work? Not just in warehouses, but across all industries.
It's the million-dollar question, isn't it? We've talked about potential job losses, but also new opportunities and the need for upskilling. How can individuals and governments prepare for these shifts? How can we ensure that everyone benefits from these advancements? These are questions we'll have to grapple with as we move forward.
They're definitely not easy questions to answer, but they're definitely worth exploring further, and that's what we'll be doing in the next part of our deep dive. We just saw how complex it is to actually get these robots working within a warehouse. But let's shift gears a bit and talk about the potential impacts of all this, especially for Europe. We've got some interesting contrasting viewpoints in these articles.
Yes, the implications for Europe are particularly interesting. On the one hand, there's concern about job displacement, with estimates of up to 12 million jobs potentially lost by 2040 due to automation. On the other hand, some argue that automation will ultimately lead to job creation, perhaps as many as 9 million new jobs, albeit in emerging sectors.
So a potential net loss of jobs overall, that sounds pretty grim.
Well, it's not just about the raw numbers. It's important to consider the types of jobs that are lost and the types of jobs that are created. Automation is likely to disproportionately impact low-skilled routine jobs, while the new jobs created may require higher levels of education and training.
So a potential skills gap emerging.
Yeah.
What does that mean for workers who might not have those specialized skills?
It highlights the need for proactive measures like robust retraining programs and education initiatives that focus on future-proof skills. It also raises questions about how to ensure that the benefits of automation are shared broadly rather than concentrating wealth and opportunity in the hands of a few.
So it's not just about creating new jobs, it's about creating good jobs that provide decent wages and opportunities for advancement. But what about those who might not be able to make that transition? Those whose jobs are completely displaced?
That's a valid concern, and it's where the conversation about social safety nets becomes particularly important. Europe already has relatively strong social safety nets compared to other parts of the world, but those systems may need to be adapted to address the unique challenges posed by automation.
Some of these articles even mention the idea of a universal basic income as a potential solution. What are your thoughts on that?
It's certainly an idea worth exploring, especially in the context of widespread job displacement. However, there are many complexities to consider, such as funding mechanisms, potential impacts on labor markets, and societal perceptions of work and value.
It seems like there are a lot of unknowns, a lot of potential benefits, but also a lot of risks. How can Europe navigate this uncertainty and ensure a positive outcome?
It requires a proactive and strategic approach involving collaboration between governments, businesses, educational institutions, and individuals. Governments can invest in education and training, foster innovation, and create policies that encourage responsible development and deployment of AI. Businesses can play a key role by investing in their workforce, retraining employees, and fostering a culture of lifelong learning.
So a shared responsibility
Mhm.
across all sectors of society. But what about the role of individuals? What can people do to prepare themselves for this future of work?
Individuals need to be adaptable, embrace lifelong learning, and focus on developing skills that are difficult to automate, like creativity, critical thinking, problem solving, and emotional intelligence.
It's about more than just technical skills. It's about those uniquely human qualities that are going to be even more valuable in an automated world.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that the future is not predetermined. It's something we shape through our choices and actions.
I like that. It's empowering to think that we have a say in how this all unfolds. But let's get specific. What are some concrete steps individuals can take to prepare for this future of work?
One of the most important things is to develop a growth mindset, to be open to new ideas and opportunities, and to be willing to continuously learn and adapt. This means seeking out opportunities for professional development, whether it's taking online courses, attending workshops, or pursuing additional education.
So taking ownership of your own career trajectory and constantly expanding your skill set.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to experiment, to step outside your comfort zone, and to explore different career paths. The skills you learn in one field can often be transferable to other industries.
That's a great point. It's about being adaptable and seeing opportunities where others might not. But with all this talk about automation and job displacement, it's easy to feel anxious about the future.
I understand that anxiety, but it's important to remember that automation is not inherently good or bad. It's a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or ill. The outcome depends on the choices we make both individually and collectively.
So it's not about fearing technology, it's about shaping it to serve our needs and values.
Precisely. And that's why it's so crucial to have open and honest conversations about these issues, to involve stakeholders from all sectors of society, and to ensure that technology is developed and deployed in a responsible and ethical manner.
It's about shaping a future where technology enhances our lives rather than diminishes them.
Exactly. And that brings us to another critical point. We've talked about the potential impact of automation on jobs and the need for upskilling, but what about the impact on wages and working conditions?
That's a really important aspect that we haven't touched on yet. Could automation lead to a race to the bottom in terms of wages as companies seek to cut costs by replacing human workers with robots?
It's a legitimate concern, and it's something we need to be vigilant about. However, automation also has the potential to improve working conditions and create more fulfilling jobs.
How so?
Imagine a world where robots handle the dangerous, repetitive, and physically demanding tasks, freeing up humans to focus on more creative, engaging, and intellectually stimulating work.
So a shift from manual labor to knowledge work.
In a sense, yes. And this shift could potentially lead to higher wages and better working conditions, as workers are no longer exposed to hazardous environments or subjected to monotonous tasks. Of course, this is not a guaranteed outcome, and it depends on how automation is implemented and the policies that are put in place to protect workers' rights.
So it's not just about the technology itself, it's about the social and political context in which it's deployed.
Absolutely. The way we choose to integrate automation into our societies will determine whether it leads to greater prosperity and well-being or exacerbates existing inequalities.
This is a complex issue with no easy answers, but it's clear that we need to be having these conversations now before it's too late.
I completely agree. We need to be thinking critically about the implications of automation, both positive and negative, and working together to shape a future where technology serves humanity, not the other way around.
This has been a fascinating and thought-provoking discussion. We've covered a lot of ground, but I'm sure our listeners have many more questions and thoughts about this topic.
I'm sure they do. And it's important to remember that this is an ongoing conversation, not a one-time event.
We need to keep talking about these issues, debating the challenges and opportunities, and working together to create a future that benefits everyone.
Well said. I think that's a perfect note to end on.
Okay, so we've talked about the potential impacts of automation and this need for a really proactive approach.
Yeah.
But let's get practical. What can individuals, especially in Europe, do to navigate this rapidly changing world of work?
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in the big picture and maybe feel a bit powerless, but there are some really concrete steps that individuals can take. One crucial thing is to kind of shift your mindset.
What do you mean by that?
Well, start thinking of yourself as a lifelong learner. The skills you have today may not be as relevant in a few years. So instead of viewing learning as something you just did in school, make it like an ongoing part of your life.
So it's not about getting a degree and just calling it a day. It's about constantly upgrading your skills. What are some ways people can actually do that?
There are so many resources available now. Take advantage of online courses, workshops, professional development programs. A lot of them are free or low cost. And don't be afraid to explore fields that you might not have considered before. You might discover some hidden talents or passions.
So being proactive and open to new possibilities.
Yeah.
But what about those uniquely human skills that we talked about earlier? How can people develop those further?
Those are going to be so important in the future.
Yeah.
Things like creativity, critical thinking, problem solving, emotional intelligence. Robots aren't going to be able to replicate those anytime soon. So find ways to practice those skills. Maybe it's volunteering for a project that really stretches your thinking, or taking on a leadership role in a community group.
So it's not just about those technical skills, but also about honing those interpersonal skills and creative abilities.
Exactly. A well-rounded skill set is going to be really valuable in the future. And it's not just about acquiring new skills, but also about being adaptable. The job market is going to be dynamic and unpredictable. So being comfortable with change and being willing to learn new things quickly, that's going to be really important.
It's almost like mental agility, being able to adjust to whatever is thrown your way.
Mm.
But with all of this change, how can people stay grounded and focused on what really matters most to them?
Yeah, that's a great point. It's crucial to really define your own values and priorities. What kind of work do you find meaningful and fulfilling? What impact do you want to have on the world? Keeping those values at the forefront can help you make good decisions as you navigate this changing landscape.
So in the midst of all this talk about technology and automation, it's important to remember that work is ultimately about human values and aspirations.
Absolutely. And while technology can be this powerful tool for good, it's really up to us to make sure that it's used in a way that aligns with our values and benefits humanity as a whole.
This has been a really insightful deep dive, I think.
Mm.
We've explored this really complex world of Amazon's automation revolution, the potential impacts, and what individuals can do to prepare for this future.
It's been great discussing this with you. I hope our listeners feel empowered to take ownership of their own future and to really help shape a world where technology is serving humanity.
Well said.
Wrong.
And that brings us to the end of our deep dive. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.